Nick and Troy have a bit of a fear and loathing adventure at the Trading Outpost. Alicia makes a new friend, and Maddie safely delivers Ophelia to her father. I'm kidding about that last one. She's dead. Totally called it. It's Fear the Walking Dead, Season 3, Episode 14, El Matadero. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this week's review of Fear the Walking Dead. So of course there are spoilers ahead, especially since I just dropped one in the opener here. So yeah, more are coming. Alright, now before we dive into the episode, let's just take a little break here for a moment. New York Comic Con just ended, and we do have a bit of news that came out there regarding Fear and The Walking Dead. Specifically, that there is going to be a crossover between the two shows. Now, it was confirmed on both Twitter accounts, both the Walking Dead Twitter account and the Fear the Walking Dead Twitter account, plus there was an announcement, so yeah, confirmation has been everywhere. Now, I'm not entirely sure, however, how they are going to do it, specifically because there is, at the moment, about a 2-year gap, time gap between the events in Fear the Walking Dead and the current events in The Walking Dead. So, I'm not sure if they're going to do like a flash forward type thing, or if they're going to do something like a meetup before perhaps some of these members meet up with the group before Rick wakes up from his coma, which should be right about-ish now. If I can lay things out properly. So, or it could be something later on, perhaps a meet up with Sasha and her brother or something like that, or some of the other characters before those characters run into the group. So, not sure how that's going to happen or what the specific plans are. I'm sure we will know more as time progresses, but very exciting to at least see some crossover, some interaction between these two series. Alright, well, to this episode, this might have been the episode that actually broke me. The moment that I throw up my hands in the air and go, I don't even care anymore. And it bums me out. I mean, there are some nice elements in here, but the whole setup with Ophelia getting bit and everything. I mean, first of all, I'm sorry, I called it episodes ago, the minute that they were going to send out and be sure you bring Ophelia back. As soon as they left the dam with the promise of bringing Ophelia back, I knew she was never going to see her father again. And unfortunately, that's not foreshadowing, that is predicting how the show works out and how the tension is being wrought here. When you get predictable like that, there is definitely elements that are wrong with the show. Also, how it all happened. Okay, so Ophelia gets bit, and Ophelia got bit when the walker fell down on her and collapsed. She did have that scream before pushing it up and them getting rid of it. So when she was in the air conditioning vent and the walker fell, that's where she got bit, of course. Now, I was already kind of annoyed at the time of why they were lifting her up and why she was getting so close to go ahead and shoot the walker before pulling down and everything. And when she fell, why would you grasp and grab it? I mean, that was annoying. The fact that she was bit and this was going to be the way that they were going to take her out, it's just, again, it is predictable. It was a way for things to go wrong. Now, I did for a moment think that Maddie was going to trap her at the outpost and then meet up with Daniel and then use Ophelia as leverage. I mean, she basically intimated as much in that scene. And that's really the moment where I was like, look, if Maddie is going to hold her as hold Ophelia as a hostage to get Daniel to do, that's kind of going too far. I'm glad that didn't happen, but the whole bit and evolution of that was annoying, specifically because it took a day and a half for her to die. That is longer than anyone in the history of the show. Normally, you get bit, within a couple of hours, you're dead, you're gone, you are turning. We do have a couple of long ones. Jim, back in season 1, lasted about a day. He was bit at night, and he was discovered in the morning, and then they had a bit of a time, and he died later that day. So less than a day. Bob, back in season 5, is that 5 or 6? When he got bit, when he got pulled underneath the water when they were on the supply run and he got bit, He went through the whole day. He said goodbye to Sasha. Then he left, got knocked out by Gareth and and the rest of the cannibals, got his leg taken off, and the whole, "You ate tainted meat," one of my favorite moments in the show, especially that season. And then he died later on, so he lasted maybe about a day. Ophelia lasts a day and a half, and the difference is with Jim, he was starting to get sick in the morning, but he'd gone through the whole night. Bob never showed any indication of being sick or problematic or anything of that until way after, like the whole half day, well into the night, before he even started showing any type of signs or problems like that. Ophelia shows it within an hour or so, maybe 2, of being bitten. She lasts the whole day and overnight until they get to the outpost the next day, and then lasts the whole day up until that night, so a good day and a half before turning. And that just killed me. To me, this is being done completely as a plot point, completely to motivate a character, completely to move story along, and the mechanics of it happening, completely irrelevant. It can take however long it needs in order to serve the plot for this to occur. And that just annoyed me. Why not have that meeting? Why not have other complications going in? It's just showing how everything is falling apart, and it's to a frustrating degree. And then at the very end, where she does actually die moments before her dad shows up, so they can't even have that last, and it was like, okay, we're going to stretch it out just until then, and then let her be freshly dead. So that just really, it really annoyed me. There were even some nice moments throughout some of that, but that, that was the point. It was just, it did it. And the fact that with Daniel being so mad, not shooting Maddie at that point, yes, we don't want to shoot Maddie because she's going to be needed coming forward. That didn't make any sense. While Daniel didn't shoot Maddie or shoot himself, having to shoot his own daughter and then take her out and do the barrier. I mean, it was so much, considering the emotion that was invested into this, that the resolution, how that all fell apart, really, I didn't buy. Now, Alicia's tale, she's establishing herself and learning slowly, stuff that she should have learned already. And in fact, there was even the annoyance when Nick and Troy showed up at that place in the middle of the night. Gotta know to announce yourself. Don't sneak up. Announce yourself. "Hey, Alicia, it's your brother," because that's how people get shot. That she parked her truck outside of the protective gate so that they could see it and then was inside, I don't know. That didn't seem smart. Now, I like the fact that they had the little dialogue and that Nick didn't force her and understands Alicia has to do this out on her own. This is part of the theme that goes on with this episode. In fact, this is really much the Maddie letting go of her children episode. Harshly. I mean, that is one thing that did kind of work in the episode. But this is that particular release, so Nick can let her go so he can go do his own little adventures, which we'll cover in a minute. But Alicia, on her own, nice. We do have to remember, she hasn't done a whole lot, so the learning curve is still there for her. It always annoys me when they put the rifle down to go up and get something off the top shelf, that you know that someone's going to show up. The fact that the walkers took so long, the fact that with the potato, she killed the first walker, then left the potatoes there and went and hid in the ball pit, which I knew there was a walker in. You can't hide ball pit, that's asking for trouble. All of that took so long, especially the wrestling with the thing in the pit that didn't bite her but just wanted to wrestle with her. Pull her underneath, not bite her. Push at her, but not bite her. That didn't make any sense. But all that time passed before even the walkers started getting close. So it was annoying where it's like, there's only one or two. You have enough time to get it and run out. She knows how to negotiate these things. But this allows our introduction for our new badass friend, who I did love. I love the physicality of it. I love the difference. I love it being a girl, someone that Alicia can really bond up with. And even the whole rest of the stories, how they're doing a little back and forth about being alone versus being a friend and how the world works. Even Alicia talking about, I can't do this anymore. And her friend saying, this is how the world is. You're going to head out and it's ghost towns that are all picked clean. this is some of the last stuff. I mean, it's getting that feel of how desperate the world really is becoming, which is nice. And I love their little bonding with, and that even at the end, how she ends up joining up with her. That does make sense. You have to learn that being by yourself is not really the best way to survive. You want someone to have your back. You want to be able to sleep and know that there's someone that might be keeping an eye out. So I like the whole evolution there with Alicia. Bit of a slow arc, but she is learning. I love her new friend, and I'm really excited about where that whole arc is going to be going. All right, so Nick and Troy have a little bit of a gonzo adventure there. Let's see, I'm going to cast Nick as Hunter Thompson, and Troy will be his reluctant attorney, going on their bit of an adventure. And, you know, part of me was a little annoyed that Nick was drifting back into here, that there was sort of like an excuse like, well, sis is gone, mom's freaking out, Ophelia's dying right here. Let's dive back into my old self and pop some pills and look for trouble. Part of me was like, dude, why you gotta do that? But he was an addict. I mean, this is some big changes for him. So in some ways, him falling back into his old habits is probably one of the more realistic occurrences that Nick was going to do. I personally don't think that being in that outpost would be the best place to really be tripping like that. Certainly Troy is out of his element in many, many ways, especially with all of the Latinos. I love he's getting scared by all the Mexicans down in the bar. That was a great line. But their little drug-fueled adventure, I mean, they're bonding. We got the little conversation between the two of them in the beginning about, you know, where Troy's pushing Nick is, why did he stay? And Nick's giving these sort of excuses. You know, he was looking for redemption at the time, is really what it was, despite that Troy thinking that it was just because he was in love with him. But they are an interesting pair, so seeing them kind of go on this adventure was kind of fun. The Fear and Loathing bit was also, to me, a hilarious thought, considering that they went and got basically pure adrenaline to do shooters, where if you saw the Terry Gilliam film, that's what they took too much of. You took too much. Anyway, great scene in the middle of the film. That's actually kind of about where things turn. But kind of a fun adventure for them. Not entirely I mean, it was good to a point. Once they hopped the fence and did the whole Walker interaction, that's where it lost it to me, because Nick wanted to go high. They were giving him super amp stuff. He's on adrenaline. His heart is going at 100 miles an hour. And while he may be used to doing drugs, Troy is not. So while Nick might be able to process this, Troy would be really tripping out seriously. And I don't think either of them under those circumstances would be able to remain calm enough to, with just a little bit of blood spattered on their face, to be able to walk through that horde of that group of walkers. I don't think they'd be able to calm enough. I did like the line, stare at the space between the atoms. That was cool. But I just think they would have been edgy. I think their hearts would have been going. I think they would have been sweating and just reeking of living humanness. So that really kind of annoyed me in the whole sense. Also the fact that Maddie didn't even notice until the next day that both Nick was gone and the pills had gotten out. Wouldn't she have noticed that when she went to get Ophelia or sitting with Ophelia? Or anyway, like I said, I'm not even going to worry about that because that whole sequence annoyed me. But so we've got bonding now with with Troy and Nick, and they're going to be sticking around the outpost because I think he is fine sliding back into his own self, and the outpost might be a place where Nick can actually do that and survive. And Strand, really quick. Like the moment between him and Maddie, where Strand kind of loses it about Maddie spending resources. Totally right. Totally on point. Was a complete waste. I don't know why all of them went into the outpost to begin with. Why didn't you just leave Ophelia outside to wait, especially if there's so much danger? If they even suspect that you're sick, they'll kill you on sight. Now, it was understood they were able to hide overnight, but then when they left in that evening, I guess maybe if you're bringing a sick person out, or you could say that they're hungover or something, then it's okay, but still, that's a lot of risks to be taking and a lot of expense just to keep people into the outpost in order to wait a few hours. So send one or two people in. I don't know. I totally agree with Strand on that. I think Maddie was pushing things and she is panicking and there isn't really a thought process to it. And I like that at least that was brought up. However, Strand was also recently here, and recently, in trouble here, tied up to the front to fight off walkers. So him coming back into this outpost, I was really sketchy with. After this conversation, then he goes back underneath, and he meets up with, I'm assuming, the person in charge, is who that he was asking for, and they weren't really willing to give out. But the big question is, what is the information? What is it that he was going to give that only he could? And my guess is, especially with the little shot that they have at the end of the episode when they're leaving, is Strand sold out the dam. He's scared of Daniel. I don't know why he would do that then, especially if he's heading to the dam. But that is my guess. I always knew coming out to this trading outpost was stupid. Stupid from the beginning. Now we have Strand selling out. Now why he is selling out the dam, what good this does to him, I don't really know. I'm assuming there's supposed to be some part of the deal that he will be safe, because Maddie was expecting Daniel to be nice. Ends up doing it. Come on back. I know you didn't bring my daughter here, but come on, it's all right. But Strand didn't believe that was just going to happen, that Daniel would be nice enough to let them come in. So he may have been cutting another edge of the deal in order to try and get in, but then he leaves with he leaves with Daniel and Maddie to go back. So I don't really know what Strand's plan is. Part of me doesn't really care because this is too predictable. It's just like another piece of trouble that's going to be caused, so that now there's going to be a big fight at the dam. They're going to lose the dam, and then they're going to have to go try and hunt down Alicia. That's what's happening next week. I guarantee it. All right, but that pretty much covers everything. Like I had said before, you could say the one purpose of this episode in a way is this is Maddie letting go of her kids. We start out with Nick talking how Mom's going to kill me if I don't bring Alicia back. Come on, Alicia, we gotta go. To, at the end, Alicia being gone and Nick saying he's gonna stay there, and Maddie going, all right, if that's what's best for you. This was her letting go. And I get that arc, and that did sort of work here. It took long enough to kind of trust your kids to be able to do what they needed to do, but I guess for some people that takes a while. So next week, it's the 2-hour season finale, or basically the last 2 episodes of the season. And yes, that went quick. It's 6 weeks. 2 in the beginning, 4 in the middle, 2 at the end. So we are probably going to have, like I said, a fight at the dam. We're going to have some betrayal. We're going to have everything fall apart. And I don't think they will be at the dam by the end of the season. I think that's going to fall apart, and they're going to be back on their own, maybe trying to head to where Alicia is. There would be a way to leave it, so at least there is some road trip possibly for next season. But that's how they've ended in some ways these past couple seasons, leaving an area and heading on to the next place. That was the first season, leaving LA, and then season 2 was leaving the hotel and leaving the Mexico basically, and heading out across the border to try and get together. So we have repeating themes here. Is this the way that it's going to be? Anyway, have to wait till next week and we'll wrap things up. And then of course it's the return of The Walking Dead the following week, and that I am super excited about. So, if you did enjoy this review, please go ahead and hit that like button. Thoughts, ideas, comments, you know where I like them, down in the section below. What did you think about the episode? What do you think about the season? And where do you think we're going to wrap things up? Let's get some predictions going there. Now, you can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. I am at Darren Jakes. And please subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, you will catch all these reviews. Plus, we're starting this week Mr. Robot Season 3 and Dirk Gently's Holistic Agency Season 2, plus again, Walking Dead the following week. So, lots of fun stuff coming up. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. returns December 1st, 2-hour premiere. So, don't miss that. You won't if you're a subscriber. Do it by clicking my face right here. And I'll throw up a couple of reviews here for you to check out. Recent stuff. You might like it. Anyway, that's it. I'm D, and I'm out of here. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.